Well, hello, most beautiful people in the whole wide world. I'm Jamila Ballard, and this is the Virtuous Woman Podcast. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. Know that I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. And if you have not, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe and become a part of the most beautiful family in the whole wide world. We are still on the road to 1 million virtuous women. Why? Because it is time for the virtuous women of God to stand up. And by the way, gentlemen, you are welcome here as well. Go ahead and share this video with a virtuous woman in your life. Let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Today's topic is, and this video is going to be about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, or should I not say doctor? Let's find out. So there's a big controversy right now about whether or not has she earned any degrees? Is she worthy of being called doctor? Is she worthy of the title Dr. Cheyenne Bryant? Because she maintains that she has earned multiple degrees and yet can provide no proof whatsoever. So the internet is in an uproar and she's going viral all over the place for more than being an author, more than her public appearances, for essentially not being able to prove that she is educated and has earned her degrees and therefore has fulfilled the requirement necessary to be able to coach and counsel people on various things, relationship advice, and even marriage. So let's go ahead and look at these interviews. She was on The Breakfast Club. She was also on Fox 5 on the Marissa Mitchell show where she was interviewed. We're going to take a look at those two interviews and I'll be back, and you guys drop me a comment. Let me know what you think and where do you stand on this controversy.
The conversation about your doctorate because people can't find your dissertation online.
Mm-hmm.
How are you responding to that in this new era of your life?
I'm going to clear it up once on here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it again. And I'm clearing it up for my doc squad, for my fan base, for my audience who deserve to hear me address it. For the folks who have already made up their mind to not like me or not understand me, listen, I don't give a fuck what your narrative is. I would like for you to recreate it, double down on it, and run that shit. Because I don't give a fuck about it. Because I don't give a fuck about it. Because I don't give a fuck about it. Now, to my docs.
Okay, y'all excuse the language from my regular viewers. She said what she said. Okay, I'll be back.
Squad, my fan base, my folks, my village, it's very simple. I went to a school, Argosy University, completed an entire program. I went back online to get my official transcripts because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide my transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And there was no school. I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google, it says this school has been shut down. I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school. They were accredited when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Where I contact the third party, that third party only holds records for 2 years. I was past my 2 years. So that means that I had no access to records. And then I contacted, financial aid. You can't make up financial aid. It shows that I paid for a doctoral program alongside my master's program and my undergrad program. And they said, we can fully refund you your money under one circumstance. We give you your money back. You don't get credit for not a class, a course, a program you took in this university, at this institute. So do you want us to refund you? Or do you want us not? I said no, because I didn't want to risk the chance of them saying, well, we're going to give you back your money, and it wipes out your entire program. Luckily, I had, I do this with all of the schools. I had downloaded from the actual student portal my transcripts at that time, and I was able to get just about all of my transcripts, including up to like dissertation. But everything else, there's just no holding take for any of our records, which I think is completely effed up. Just in general.
They are going to kill you online this week. They're going to say she has no records. They just want to hate you regardless.
She's lucky I wasn't interviewing her because unless I missed something, she said that she needed her transcript because she wanted to apply for law school, right? And so my question is, did you have anything on paper? Because if you already completed the program, which is what she said, then where's the diploma? Did you have a paper diploma? Did you have a printout of a diploma? Did you have a record of the diploma of any sorts, an email, anything saying you completed the program? Because she's saying, because if you did complete the program, then there should be a record of the completion somewhere. You're saying there's no record of the transcripts, but you're not saying there's no record of the completion. And yet there must have been, if you completed it, that means there was no record of completion as well. And I find it very hard to believe that somebody can complete a program, fulfill all the requirements. We're talking about putting in work, studying, blood, sweat, and tears to fulfill requirements in order to receive a degree. And then you're saying you have no record that you even completed the program, because that's something totally different than saying, when I went back because I needed the transcripts in order to further my education, there was no record of the transcripts. That's different. Also, I don't know of a school. It sounds a little shady to me that a school would say, okay, we use a third party to keep our records, and it just so happens that they only keep the records for 2 years. It's just a lot of holes in this story. Like, I almost wish Oprah was interviewing her. But okay, let's proceed, and then I'll be back.
There's no records that I don't. The school had a third party that carried the records only for a limit of 2 years. So it's not me, it's any student that attended Argosy. But again, it doesn't, how can I say it? It doesn't affect me, because if I chose to go get a license as an LMFT, I have my master's in marriage, family, child therapist. I have my hours. I can just take that and say, hey, let me submit these for licensure, and I want to go sit for my exam, and I'll have to do a study. I don't need a doctorate in counseling psychology to go get licensed as a therapist. That's what we're all missing.
They say the reason that you don't get questioned or tested as much is because of your quote unquote looks.
I said this last time I was on. You might be my alter ego brother, because some of the stuff you say is just right up the alley of what needs to be addressed. So there's pretty privilege, and I've learned that there's pretty punishment. And
That's
I didn't
true.
really understand that term.
That is true. Because the world glorifies beauty. And so the people who don't feel like they have it, when their hearts are rotten, because some people feel like they don't have it and they don't necessarily have a rotten heart. But some people who think that they are not the pretty girl and they also have a rotten heart are very, very mean to the girls that they think are the pretty girls. They're very, very mean. They're bullies. You know, they feel like it is their personal mission to knock you off of your pedestal, whether or not you even think you're on a pedestal, whether or not you even see yourself that way. Doesn't matter, because they see you that way. And so, yeah, there's definitely such a thing as pretty punishment. Absolutely.
Until I got into my field. And I want to say this, I've been in my field for 18 years. I didn't get into this field to become famous, to become a celebrity. I got in this field because I was a little girl from the inner city who was tenacious and determined to make it out. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of broken pieces and abandonment. And when God provided me tools that helped me take my broken pieces and make peace from it, go from my wilderness into my promised land, which I talk about in my book, Live Your Promise, I thought, wait a minute, I got to make sure I give everybody I come in contact with these principles, because everyone deserves that freedom and that healing that I'm experiencing, what I call God's peace. All right. And so with that, people got a whiff of it. And, you know, the fan base, the folks made me famous, made me a celebrity. I did not grow up and say, hey, I want to listen, I'm a good looking woman. I've had access to the industry for my entire life. If I wanted to be famous, I would have went maybe the actress route or the modeling route. Easy call for me. So none of that. No one goes to college and gets multiple degrees to say, I want to be famous. Now, do I love it here? Yeah, I love it. I'm grateful for it. I appreciate it. If folks would focus on, Doc, how did you create your own lane? I don't want to be you, but damn it, I want my own lane to occupy. I would give them the tools like I'm doing in my book, Live Your Promise, about how I did it, how I went from the hood to the hills. Was it hard? Yeah. Is it possible? Absolutely. Am I the only one that can do it? Hell no. The tools I use, if you apply it, you will get the same result. Just like baking a cake.
Some people are like, well, how can she tell me about my marriage when she hasn't been married? Or how can she tell me about my family or my kids when she hasn't been through that? Even though you studied it and you got your degree in it. So what do you say to those people?
So you just gonna cook the whole interview? Just gonna cook all your questions gonna be?
Because you know what? Because I'll be honest, I didn't know.
Tell them that we talked about this pre.
I know, but when I say and I looked, it wasn't 2 years ago. This is like a week ago. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, y'all trying to stomp out the Cheyenne Bryant like my Knicks did the Philly Sixers.
Your question was, what do I think about people who say I'm not married, so how can I teach folks?
Correct.
So this is the thing, I do not teach people how to be married. Marriage is between you and your partner. That's your agreement. That's your covenant. And however you two decide to create and curate your marriage, I can't teach you that. What I teach people is how to get out of their own way, because happy, healed people make happy, healed marriages. Miserable, unhappy people create miserable marriages. Traumatized out folks create trauma bonds. Healed people create healed bonds. I teach you, Envy, how do you process through your trauma so you don't bleed on your wife? I teach you, Lauren, how do you get out of your daddy issues? Not saying you have them, your daddy issues, your parental issues. Okay, well, I'm on point today. Out of your daddy issues, right? So that you don't point and project your pain onto this man who is loving the hell out of you and doesn't deserve that. If I could teach you how to heal those and how to get out of your way with that, then I have helped you become a better woman for yourself, which in return is going to do what? Benefit the collective of that marriage. No one can teach people how to be married. We teach you how to get out of your own way so you and your partner can be healthy. That's it. Because no matter how much we teach you the proper tools of marriage, if you are traumatized out and you're abandonment and sabotaging this thing, those tools will not be effective until I help you get out of your way.
So apparently, according to the internet, her official biography, she earned dual bachelor's degrees in psychology and Pan-African Studies from California State University, Northridge. So that would be CSUN. As far as the doctorate, it's just her stating that she pursued a doctorate in counseling psychology from the school that no longer exists, right? And the name of that school was Argosy University, ARGOSY, Argosy University. As far as the master's, she also claims to hold a master's degree in marriage, family, and child therapy, but again, no proof of those degrees. I feel like the world that we live in is so success obsessed that when someone earns that everyone's programmed to chase and pursue education degrees, right? And this is there's a much broader conversation on all of this. And we'll save that for another day. But I think what happens is that leads to a lot of lies being told, right? People lie on their resumes. I knew somebody who got a job because she completed a 4-year degree, 4-year program, right? But she confided in me she never actually got her diploma, right? And that she never disclosed that to. She ended up being hired by a university who on the false pretense that she had earned the degree. Now, she did the work, but she never paid what she had to pay in order to receive her diploma, and she never disclosed that, of course, because she probably would not have gotten the job, right? So I think that what happens is everybody just starts making stuff up. If they don't have the qualifications, that they just, and even if they're not lying 100%, they kind of just, along the way, they make up whatever they feel they have to make up to get in and get whatever it is that they're pursuing. And I think that's the norm. I think it is actually the norm. Let's move on to her second interview. This is just an added bonus. She is being interviewed by Marissa Mitchell on Fox. This was interesting. This was fun. But then
Thanks for coming live in studio.
I'm going to add this to your book.
Oh, please
collection,
do. Please do. And
honey.
I've read your book.
Yes.
Is it, how many have you
This
put
is
out
my
now?
second
The
book. My
book.
first one, Mental Detox, is also a bestseller.
Wow. So for many, they know who you are.
Yes.
For others, this may be an introduction.
Yeah.
So you often talk about, and you talk about it in your book, going from the hood to the hills.
Yes, baby.
How has your life informed your journey and what you share?
Oh gosh, I talk about it in my book, Live Your Promise, how, growing up in the inner city as a young girl, the oldest of 7, the product of teenage parents, had an extremely, extremely loving, tight-knit family, but the environment sometimes was dysfunctional and toxic. And so growing up in that, knowing that, look, I don't know where I want to go, but I know I got to get the heck up out of here. I always say sometimes it's not where you're going that gets you there, it's what you're running from. And as a young girl, I put on my track shoes and I said, look, I have a goal to get me and my family out of this, but to come back and give back and provide resources to the inner city. And so I say, I went from the hood to the hills by the grace of God. And as the Bible says, it was good for me that I was afflicted. So my afflictions created a certain muscle, a vertical backbone, and a character in me that allows me to withstand the storm. And the wilderness is what I talk about in my book. And we all have a wilderness that happens every time before you enter into your promised land. It precedes the promised land, which is you living in your promise.
Yeah, you share those biblical scriptures and stories as well, words of affirmation, even pages where you basically urge the reader to ask those questions.
Yes.
Because a lot of us, we see the wilderness, but we're too afraid to take the mask off, to turn the lights on and address it.
Marissa, come on. A lot of times what we're afraid of is 2 things. It's taking inventory of what is in our wilderness, because a lot of folks have used a coping mechanism to eclipse themselves from seeing the trauma, from taking the inventory, because seeing the trauma oftentimes makes it to where you have to relive it. It's a secondary trauma experience. And who wants to relive trauma? Trauma is dismantling. It's broken. It's painful. And so that inventory piece you said is important. And the second piece is they're usually afraid of the bigness, what's in the promised land. Can they not only obtain, but can they sustain it when they get there? And it takes a different tool in the promised land than it does in the wilderness. And it's okay to be in the wilderness, because the wilderness is where you are identifying who you are. You're finding out your muscle. You are building character. And that is what you need to be able to even enter into your promised land. The promised land takes a you that is vertical. It takes a you that can thrive. The wilderness is where you survive. You cannot take your tool of survival into your promised land, where you are there to actually thrive.
Once you've identified that this for me is my wilderness and you see the thing as a thing, what are some practical steps that you can do to begin the healing process?
I love that. I always say,
I don't think the average person, and this is just my my input here, obviously. I don't think the average person can identify their wilderness until way after the fact. And then I think most people can't even identify it after the fact, because a lot of times what it does is cause people to feel, to doubt themselves, to lose hope. And so it's like some people never actually even learn the lessons that would empower them and make a difference in their lives and their futures, going forward. It sounds really good. But it's a lot of jargon meant to sound good. So, okay.
It means you have to really let yourself feel what you are feeling. Honor your emotions. Honoring our emotions is an act of self-love, okay? And allowing yourself to feel what you feel. You also have to remember that, Success does not erase your trauma. It doesn't erase your trauma. And so a lot of folks get into the position of success with accolades and they're performing well, but that is an overcompensation for the healing that they need to do. We want to be equally yoked.
So I just have to say this. When it comes to empowerment, the thing that has always bugged me about empowerment is that everybody tries to talk about empowerment like it does not mean blessed. To be blessed means to be empowered. It means to be empowered by God. And there's really no empowerment outside of God. So all of the self-help, self-love is still rooted in you depending on yourself, leaning on your own understanding. And if we had the ability to go ahead and just heal ourselves apart from God, that would mean that she and all the other empowerment speakers and probably the motivational speakers as well, really, you're not saying anything new. You're not bringing anything different because the world already thought we don't need God. We don't need to depend on him. The only way to be healed is to be healed by God. The only way to be healed is to be transformed from the inside out by God. And I see a lot of these speakers now and coaches sprinkling in a little bit of word, but there's something listen, Satan knows the word, and Satan even used the word to tempt Jesus. So it's very different when you're saying the word is my foundation, God is my foundation, and because I was transformed and healed by him, that's what changed my life. Big difference.
That are out there, why not provide the proof of your degree? Why not?
Well, a couple of things, right? I have multiple degrees, and my thing is that my proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals. My proof is already within my credentials, my degrees, and also more than just my titles, it's in how effective I've been. All of my sessions have been live for the most part. My sessions with Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharp, B. Simone, they have all been for the world to see, right? So no one knew who Dr. Bryant was prior to seeing all of my sessions that were live. And they deemed it, as well as I did before they did it, they can't validate me, I validated myself, they deemed it as my work being effective. I am effective at what I do. I'm educated and I'm successful in my lane, and I'll land on this, I created my own lane. And so a lot of times, Marissa, when people see that you created something that maybe they couldn't, admiration turns into envy. And you got to be okay. And you got to be okay with that in that
space. As an attack, but I think, and I've gotten this question from many viewers, and I owe it to them in service to
Absolutely.
them. Why not drop doctor from your name if you cannot bring forth that doctoral degree?
So I've already covered this, right? And we're here obviously to talk about my new book. So I've earned the title. I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. And we're going to leave it just as that. Yeah.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Baby, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
And that's where, and you're standing by that.
Standing by it. Yeah, because I earned it. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. I know you're going to hang around and
I want to thank you for asking the hard questions.
Well, I
appreciate
that. You know, I'm a journalist with 2 degrees at the end of the day.
Many?
And so I had 2.
Come on, girl.
Yes, Northwestern and Emory University. So I had to make sure I display that as well as a journalist. So thank you for coming.
Of course.
She was being messy. She was being a little messy, Miss Mitchell. So here's a few things. It's funny how trendy God is now. They that worship him shall worship him in spirit and in truth. In spirit and in truth. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to say some things that I think probably other people would want to say. First, I think that the interviewer did ask a good and valid question. Since there's such controversy around you using the title doctor before your name, of course, when you can't prove a doctorate degree, why not just drop it? Why not just drop it? And I think that's an interesting question. Why not just drop it? Because I think the answer quite plainly is that we've made such a big deal. This country is built on status, power. You know, and you're nobody without status and power. I still hear people use that term. It's crazy. people refer to people as, oh, that's a nobody. How dare you? How dare you? And, I was watching one time, Candace Owens was being interviewed, and or she was speaking somewhere. I don't really recall, but this was when Charlie Kirk was still alive, and somebody said something. Somebody tried to insult him, like a student when they were speaking, tried to insult him and say that he didn't have degrees. And I remember, of course, Candace came to his defense, and then I remember she said later on, I heard her mention that she had degrees. Yet in the moment where she could have pridefully stated, she could have argued with the person who was hurling the insult. Well, I have degrees, blah, 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 blah. She kept quiet. At the end of the day, having a degree does not make you more valuable than someone else. Quite frankly, I can't stand that about my own family. There are people so puffed up with pride over these degrees, like we aren't all biologically connected and part of the same family. It's insane to me. And the world has taught people to think this way. So let me just point this out about her. According to her official biography, she did earn dual bachelor's degrees in psychology and Pan-African studies from California State University. So the woman has put in some work, okay? She has done some due diligence, and we just cannot prove that she's done due diligence to the extent that she claims that she has. But I'm going to go ahead and give her my props, because it's never my goal to just tear down another woman, especially another Black woman. It just is not. And I also know that the internet is it has become bully central. I think, and a lot of times when people when people are not content creators and they're leaving their comments, they feel there's this privilege now where you can just bully anybody that has a platform, that has a channel. And I don't think people realize, like, we can't really get in our flesh and respond the way we may want to sometimes, because we're the ones who stand to lose something, being our channel, being our platform, whereas the average person on social media is not a content creator. They're not, okay? So I think she gets a lot of hate just because that is the culture. That's just the culture now. That is what human beings like to do. Tear people down, bully, 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 bully. But I will say, in her defense, she has done some due diligence. If she's got 2 bachelor's degrees, that's something. I don't know what happened with the doctorate. My husband and I were approached a couple times because we were making, putting quite a dent in the empowerment circuit in the area of marriage and personal development and basically empowerment, particularly more so women's empowerment, right? We were doing it as a couple, and then I, on my own, made a separate had my own separate lane where women's empowerment was concerned, right? And still do, quite honestly. So I think what happens is, so we were approached a couple times by people who basically wanted to sell us doctorate degrees. So by the time it happened the second time, I really just ignored it, because I'm like, okay, like, I'm not doing that. I don't feel like I need to do that. I feel like anything I'm called to do by God has given me the gifts, the wisdom, the insight, the discernment, the intelligence, the everything to be able to do it. And the world understands that there are gifts that people are just born with, right? But they seem to only understand it with maybe athletic ability and singing and dancing. But they act as if, no. Why? We're going to refuse to acknowledge that you could have any gifts that are mental in nature or any gifts grounded in your mental capability or intelligence, what you're capable of because of your intelligence, or all these things that God naturally endows us with. The world has decided, no, we are the only ones who could say you are qualified. And listen, let's be honest. It is ordered to indoctrinate you into a system of control, because from the beginning of time, people have operated in gifts because they were living and breathing. So just being connected to other people in community and in your family, yes, you counseled. Yes, you coached people. Yes, you shared your life experience. Yes, you imparted wisdom. Elders imparted wisdom. It has always been this way. It's always been this way. So I really was rooting for her. Like, okay, if you don't have any degrees, girl, you still killing it. 'Cause everybody knows your name and everybody's talking about you. And I've seen you all over the place. I even created a short from her interview with Shannon Sharp. So I was already familiar with her. So I'm like, okay, if she doesn't have a degree, she doesn't have a degree. But all I'm saying is, man, especially because you're bringing up scriptures, why not just show us that you have the integrity to just be totally transparent and totally honest with us? Because everything in me is telling me that she's lying about the doctorate degree. I don't know. I just think if people were really secure in themselves, that there will be a degree of integrity in their character that would dictate the honesty. Just that would cause them to just be straight up and honest about whatever. You're out there in the public eye all the time anyway, so you might as well just be honest. All right, guys. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like and subscribe to the channel, please. It really helps me. It helps my videos get pushed out into the algorithm. I really appreciate you for hanging out with me today, and I hope you'll be back for next time. Always remember, the most beautiful woman in the world, that would be a virtuous woman. That'd be a virtuous woman, boo-boo. All right. I will see y'all next time.